Everybody, I want to look at the resource browser with you guys for a little bit. Now that we have our floor plan drawn, um, we want to be able to put doors and windows and cabinets and furniture in our new floor plan. And Vectorworks comes with a pretty nice selection of library objects. They're symbols and things called plugin objects that are in the application folder. So this is where it's located on my home computer. It may be slightly different on the school computer, but if we go to applications, and I'll look at it in this mode, and you scroll down to the application folder, notice there's a folder that's called libraries, and there are default things, and you can save some favorites, and then all the hatches and images and image props. And then in Designer, which is what you all have, your student version, the big version, you have all these different library objects. They're basically objects that are drawn in Vectorworks files and then saved as symbols or plugin objects and put into this application library. So I want to call your attention to Building, Architecture, and Interior, and the Architect Sampler. So even if you buy the basic version of the program, you get this Architect Sampler. So let's remember this pathway, because we need to go get those resources, check them out of the main library and put them into our resource browser, which is our little library. So first thing you want to do is make sure you're in your current drawing. If you had several Vectorworks files open, you could choose a bunch of these. You could also choose always display the active document, and that way the document you're working in is the active one. And the way you check out symbols and plugin objects and things from the main library is by adding them as favorites to your resource browser. So under Files, choose Add New Favorites File. And we get this chooser window that puts us right into the library file. Open up Libraries, Building, Architecture, and Interior, choose the Architect Sampler and click Open. Now look, under Favorites, there's our Architect Sampler. So anytime we want to get something out of the Architect Sampler, click on it. And there are all the symbols and plugin objects in that Architect Sampler. So you'll notice some of these have red titles and some have their titles in black. The difference is anything in red is called a plugin object. It means it's a symbol, it's an object, but you can edit it using the object info palette. You can change its size or height or some sort of attribute about it. They're editable objects. Whereas these objects in black, you can add them to your drawing, but you can't modify them or edit them in any way. They are just symbols. So notice these are plugin objects, and the ones in black are symbols. You add them into your drawing in the same way. It's just a matter of what you can do once they're in the drawing. The other thing I want to point your attention to in the mode bar, this is wall insertion mode. If there's a symbol that will actually go in the wall, or a plugin object like a door or a window, and I want Vectorworks to actually cut the wall and insert that symbol or plugin object directly into the wall, I want to make sure that I've selected the wall insertion mode. So watch. I'll double click on a symbol or a plugin object, and I'll drag it over to a wall, and I have to turn on the wall insertion mode. And notice now my wall highlights in red and my object kind of jumps into the wall. The first click sets the object or the symbol in the wall. The second click, I can rotate it or move which side the window is going to open, and the second click sets it. That is now actually cut into the wall. If I want to put a cabinet in my drawing, I don't want it to jump into the wall. I want to turn off the wall insertion mode, and that way when I get near a wall, it doesn't jump into that wall. My first click sets the object. I can then rotate it. When I get it to the rotation I want, and sometimes you can't tell what you want in top plan, I click, and then I can move it around like any other object. Now I have snap to object on in my snapping palette, so my object snaps to the wall, but it doesn't actually get cut into the wall. So you got to be mindful what kind of object or symbol you're putting in your drawing. So there's a OpenGL, so you can actually see our window in the wall, but our cabinet is just next to the wall. So let's go back. Before we start dealing with modifying symbols and plugin objects and all that kind of stuff, I want to focus on the resource browser a little bit. So currently we're pulling symbols out of the Architect Sampler. I want to switch back to our document. So I'll go back to Always Display Active Document, or I could choose Untitled number 6, which is the document we're working in. And notice the two plugin objects that I placed in my drawing now show up in my library. So I'm creating a library for this particular drawing. This is a great way to organize and keep track of all the things that you put in your drawing. Notice if you ever make a textile, the textile gets added to the resource browser. If I were to create an object and give it a tile, the tile shows up in the resource browser. If I were to give it an image, the image would show up in the resource browser under Images. So it's a way to keep track of lots of things in your drawing. It's really, really, really useful. Now if I want to add something, once it's in my drawing, let me just delete that. I can either go back to my Architect Sampler, or I can drag and drop. I'll go back to Top Plan. It's easier to do that. I can drag and drop from my own little library. So once you've checked something out, you can use it. You can organize your symbols as well. You can create some folders. So you go to Resources, choose New Resource in your document, in your file, and choose Symbol Folder. You get to name it. So I'm going to name one Cabinets. Oops, and I don't need to be in caps lock. There we go. Cabinets, and click OK. So now I have symbol folders, which is my upper level here. Now I want to put my cabinet base, my base cabinet, in my cabinet folder and start organizing all my cabinets in that folder. I highlight the symbol or plugin object. I go to Move, and I choose Cabinets and OK. And now my cabinet, base cabinet is in my Cabinets folder. I can go back to the top level and I can see all of my resources. I could create another folder, so New Resource, Symbol Folder, and this one I'll call Doors and Windows. And click OK. Now I need to go put my window in that folder, so I'll select it, go to Move. This time I'll choose Doors and Windows and click OK. And now I'm looking inside that folder. If I want to see the overall structure again, I'll go back to top level. And there I have my cabinet folder and my doors and windows. Let me add another resource. So remember, we have to go back to Architect Sampler to check out our resources. So let's say I'll put a wall cabinet in. I double click and click once, click twice. I'm not being particularly careful about putting these in. I more want to show you how they appear in the resource browser. So I need to go back to my document. I'll go back to Active Document, and there's my wall cabinet. So I want to put it in my folder, and I'll choose Move, choose Cabinets, click OK. And now I've organized my resource browser. So you can set up some folders right off the bat and organize as you go, or you can have a whole bunch of symbols and finally decide, you know what, I have enough stuff going on in here, I want to organize things a little bit more, and you can go back and organize them after the fact. Vectorworks will automatically separate by main categories. It will create images in an image folder, symbols, textiles, tiles, other types of resources in there. So it'll do some organizing for you, but you can go back and further organize your symbols and plug in objects. I really like to do this. You can have a lot of things going on in a drawing, and it's nice to be able to find them very quickly.